Hello, my beautiful creatures of the night. Welcome to Out in the Woods Halloqueen 2. I'm your enchanting neighborhood host, Jacob, and today we get metaphysical with my good friend Zain Donovan, who is a witch in the colloquial sense and the literal sense. So, if you've ever wondered how to practice magic, or how someone in the modern age could focus on the esoteric, this is the spooky episode for you. Made extra spooky by the fact that actual spirits were messing with my audio and visual equipment. So, if you're wondering why the audio in the first half sounds like it was coming from a laptop, well, something turned off my mic while I was recording. And if you're wondering why the lights cut out at one point, well, everything's better in the dark, isn't it? Let's get witchy. Hello, spooky ass queers and allies alike. Welcome to the Red Jasper, where we will be recording Halloqueen episode 2. This is a guest that you may already be familiar with. Introduce yourself.
I'm Zain.
It's Zain again!
I'm back.
Except this time it is not Southern Sweet Tea. It is a witch's brew, I guess, but not quite the Southern Witch's Brew. Yeah, welcome back to the show.
I'm happy to be back. Welcome to the shop.
Yes, thank you. We'll talk a little bit more about the Red Jasper later,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
for the time being, let's go ahead and, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of updating the audience on your background really quick, like who you are, just in case there are any first-time watchers and listeners.
Yeah, definitely. I'm Zain, really good friend to Jacob.
Mhm.
I'm gay, non-binary, use they, them pronouns.
Yes.
And I live in Hattiesburg. I am a practicing witch for 15 years now. A very, very long time.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of my bag. I can finally speak with some authority on
Yes.
something on your podcast.
So, yeah, from the get-go, whenever I planned on doing a podcast, one of my big things was, like, I need to have Zain on to talk about witchcraft, because, well, I'm not going to say contrary to popular belief. I don't know if it's common knowledge, but, witchcraft, spiritualism, metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, just kind of goes hand in hand with the LGBT community in some ways.
Yeah.
So, very excited to get into this episode. But before I continue, I just want to say that this episode is dedicated to Walter Mercado, who I did not find out about until I was quarantined with COVID-19.
The documentary.
The documentary on Netflix,
Yeah.
which if you haven't watched, go out there and watch it. I just think it's great that Walter Mercado brought gay representation to the mainstream media back when that was something so controversial.
Yes.
I think that Walter Mercado is great because he brought magic, like real, like metaphysical, like magic, spiritualism representation
to the gays.
To the gays.
Queers
and
love magic.
Exactly. And to the general public when that was definitely something that was kind of frowned upon. So, I mean, come on, Walter Mercado. Thank you. I would invoke your spirit, but I know you're too busy right now. I know Walter Mercado is too busy right now.
Got a lot going on.
So much. So, yeah. So, moving on.
Yes.
How would you define witchcraft?
So witchcraft I would define as something that is it's a lot about self-discovery, and it's a lot about self-empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the quote verbatim, but a scholar said once that magic is shaping reality in accordance to will. I believe. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
wrong, correct me. But I think and like that's the closest approximation
Yeah.
to the quote that I can get
Yeah.
right now. But that's very like telling of like what witchcraft is. It's really just like recognizing yourself and the energies around you and how those two interact.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Cool. So who can be a witch?
Literally anyone. Um, there are customs and like groups that will say like you have to be born into it,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be raised a certain way, but literally it's for anybody. You can pick up some tarot cards one day and suddenly you're a witch. We've always gone by the saying that she who says she's a witch is.
Yes, and she can be anybody. By the way,
Yeah.
she in this sense is a gender neutral term.
Yeah, it's very much it's everyone.
Which I have ran in witch circles. I was actually part of a coven with you.
We were part of a coven.
We
yes.
were. And yeah, I mean, I've met so many different witches and magical practitioners and spiritual people from all sorts of backgrounds. Because, sometimes you don't even want to slap the label witch on it. Sometimes
Yeah, a lot
witch
of
is
people
just
don't.
the easiest way to describe it.
Right.
So, Zane, how did magic come into your life?
I feel like it was always sort of there. I grew up very different from most of the people around here with that Southern Baptist. Like that was a part of my childhood because my mom's family is, very deep into that.
Yeah.
And like I grew up with that influence, but kind of very in the distance. I was never really super close with that family, and the family that I was close with, my dad's family, particularly his mom. She was just one of those people who, like, never explicitly said, I'm a witch, but you just knew.
Yeah.
I was raised, going outside, playing outside in grass, in dirt, sticks, rocks.
Yeah.
Learning to appreciate those things and, like, understanding that they have an energy and a life, and it really wasn't, it was never, God was never really a household name for me. It was kind of just like something that I had heard, in passing, in crossing. And then when I started going to school here, it really like became a big thing that like, wow, you have to be Christian or like, you're going to hell, you're this or that, and it was very strange for me because it's like, this is a name I've never heard of, it's like, oh, this God guy is so great, why have I never heard of him?
You are literally like those stereotypes that you see in like those Christian comics.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
the little tracts that they give out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very much that.
Who's
and
Jesus?
Who's
Like what?
Adam and Eve?
Jesus? What?
Jesus? No, but I very much grew up in like a open household. It was just kind of like do whatever you feel. I had gone to church a couple times being younger, but never really like connected the dots.
Yeah.
That's what that was because I was never in like the major sermons.
Right.
We did like the youth group stuff on the side, and honestly, it was literally just playing outside. So again, just what I was used to.
Right. Which you've told me that your parents kind of regressed into like more of a Christian box as time went on instead of being very open, like.
Yeah, they very much closed off. My mom was always sort of kind of like stayed in her like little Christian lane, but she never pushed that on me, and she never made me feel like, oh, this is what you have to do. Because again, like I grew up not really hearing that.
Right.
And so like with living with my grandmother, I spent time living with her. We did all the like we collected herbs. We charged crystals. We little like spells and cute little stuff like that. Because I always a lot of times think of witchcraft as like supercharged arts and crafts.
Okay, yeah,
I very much like that.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, it's just Michael's, but on steroids. And so it wasn't until I got into about like middle school that I had ever heard that was any different. Because I really didn't never like talk about it because I thought everybody did it. I thought that was just because even at church we would just go play outside. So I thought it was everybody's thing. Like everybody does this.
Right.
And it wasn't until I got into like middle school that I had a girlfriend who I talked to about all these like customs and stuff, and she was an in the closet witch who she like had seen stuff on TV and like grown up with pop culture witches,
right?
And she recognized what it was and was like, "That's witchcraft," and I was like shocked. I was like, "What? Everyone doesn't do this?" She's like, "No, that's witchcraft. That is definitely witchcraft." And so I went like back to my grandmother and was like, "Are we witches?" And she was kind of like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, cool." And that was really when I like started practicing and like like consciously and actively like working on things and doing things.
Right.
And like I had a very supernatural childhood. As a lot of people do, people have ghost stories and stuff like that. Imaginary friends.
Yeah.
And so but it wasn't until like that revelation of being like, oh shit, this isn't like the standard that I really like. I dove into it hardcore.
So like, I guess that kind of leans into my next question, which is like, what was your first encounter like with magic? And I'm not talking about like, oh, like we went picking herbs or anything. I'm talking about like, what was like your first experience with like seeing magic?
With seeing magic, so my grandmother very much had a habit of predicting things. Like one of my favorite stories is that she predicted 9/11.
Oh, because pretty bold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But and like I don't necessarily know. Like I remember this as she predicted it, but I remember she told me a couple of days before, like I have a feeling something bad's gonna happen. Something like like we need everything's gonna change, everything's gonna be different, and me being a little kid, I'm like I don't give a shit. Like, give me my mac and cheese and my yoo-hoo. Stop talking about politics. And then the day of, she checked me out of school, and I was like, "What's going on?" And she was like, "I was right. I was right." And then I remember like being told,
"What a time to be right."
Yeah. But she did little stuff like that all the time, and much smaller instances. She also could always find things. She always knew exactly where things were. If you lost it, she could find it. She could pretty much fix anything. If something didn't work, she knew what was wrong with it. She could fix it. And then with what people would think of as magic, like, I remember having nightmares all the time as a kid. And what I guess now I would describe as like sleep paralysis. Of like, I'm in bed, I can't move, there's scary things everywhere, and she would just know. She would wake up and come get me out of bed and like jolt me so that, and like she would tell the bad things, it's like, you're not welcome here, get out, like, and it always made me feel better, and so that's like the biggest, like one of the biggest instances I can think of with my first experience with like magic, as people think, of like her banishing the demons.
Right. Okay. Well, on that note, like what aspect of what facet of the magical community would you say that you fall into?
Probably just spiritual. I call myself a witch.
Well, I guess to broaden my question a little bit, an audience, you may or may not know this, but, there are hedge witches, kitchen witches,
right.
Mediums, clairvoyant, oh my God, I've just completely lost the, diviners.
Yeah, divination. Oracles.
Right, oracles.
I honestly, like, I'm kind of a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have one specific thing that I like stick to. I really like tarot readings, oracle, like cards.
Yeah.
Divination. I really like sigils, the little symbols, which I guess is considered chaos magic.
Is it?
So yeah, which is really cool. Those are some of my favorite things. I really like candle magic.
Explain a little bit about chaos magic, because that sounds like very interesting to me.
Well, it's okay. So it's essentially with regular magic, and I'm gonna horribly simplify this, but essentially with regular magic, there's like an intent. There's like an intent for good or bad.
Yeah.
You know, with chaos magic, it's like, from what I understand, it's like I just need to achieve my means. I just need to achieve my my goal.
Yeah.
Whether there's invocations of good or evil,
right? I
don't care. And so that's a lot of from where I understand. That's where a lot of chaos magic comes from.
Okay.
And yeah, it's super cool though. I do it a lot.
So with that, what gifts would you say that you have? Quote unquote.
Quote unquote gifts.
Quote unquote gifts.
I'm a huge empath. And I feel like that's a genetic thing for me. Like a lot of on my mom's side of my family, there's been a lot of empaths. Which, for anyone who doesn't know, an empath is someone who can take on the emotions and sometimes physical ailments and characteristics of other people around them. You're really sensitive to energies. You're good at picking up on energies. And there are lots of kinds of empaths, because there are empaths for person to person, person to animal, person to the planet. Like, there's a lot of ways to experience empathy.
Right.
And that's one of the gifts. I would say that I have. I am able to see people's auras. Typically, some people are super closed off and like I can't really like visualize it. But the closer I get to somebody, I can very easily tell like what they're going through, like what's going on, how they're feeling.
What color is my aura right now?
Your aura is the same as it always is. It's green.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Shut the fuck up.
No, it's but no, you tend to have more stern colors, so like neutrals, darker browns, greens, those kinds of things. Every once in a while you'll fade into a blue. You have a lot of those like dark, deep, more like grounded, sturdy colors. Yeah.
If I could see your aura, I would tell you what colors yours was, but I'm not good at that, so. Yeah. People are always like, if you just look long enough and let it,
Yeah, and if you let it roll out, or the white wall thing.
Yes.
It's like, stand in front of a white wall, and it's like, no, that's just like, what is it called when like, is it photo imprinting? When,
yes.
Like, you see a light, you close your eyes, you can see the light.
Yes.
It's that.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
Also, like, I have astigmatisms in both my eyes, so like, auras, I can't even see that. So,
right.
No,
I can't see physical things, much less metaphysical things.
Right. And you're a great diviner. I know that for a fact. I've seen, I've been read by you, tarot-wise and for Phil. So.
Yeah. The cards and your outfit. No,
exactly.
I'm just kidding.
So, is your practice religious? Which, you said spiritual, and I think this is more of like a segue to like talk about like the religious aspect of witchcraft. But is your practice religious?
Mine currently is not. I remember at the beginning when I was like first getting into all this, and I was reading all the books, like the Gerald Gardner books and the what's one I was talking to you about?
Not
Silver Ravenwolf.
Silver Ravenwolf. Yeah.
I was reading all of those, and I was reading like everything I could get my hands on that said Wicca in the title. Because I was like, at the time, I was like, witchcraft, Wicca, same thing.
Right.
They're not.
Which everybody, like, I have so many people out there, every time I'm like, Yeah, I have a friend that's a witch. You know, I've dabbled in witchcraft. You know, this and this. They're like, oh, so you're a Wiccan? Like,
oh, you're a Wiccan?
No. No.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not the
Full
same
stop.
thing.
No.
Pump the brakes. No. At the beginning, it was very religious for me, and I felt a very real connection to, like, the Greek pantheon, because that was just, like, the one my friends chose.
Lightning thief.
Yeah, literally, honestly, I'm telling you, the Percy Jackson series really affected me as a child.
Still haven't read it, so sorry.
It's a pretty good series.
That's what I'm told.
The movies,
I can miss them.
you can miss them.
Okay.
Logan Lerman's pretty attractive, but other than that, it's not a lot going on. But yeah, it was very religious for me in the beginning, and then as time went on, and I really started to get comfortable with doing this stuff, it really came around to oh, this power comes from me. This authority that I have over my reality and my destiny comes from me. It is not checked by anyone. It is I don't have to ask anyone for help.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of this journey for me was about understanding my worth, my power,
mm-hmm.
and my ability to choose how things were going to go in my life. And when that kind of came about, I was like, okay, cool. I started falling off of the deific religious aspect of it, because I got really bogged down in the rules, because there's a lot of rules. You know, that you have to do this a certain way, you have to pray on this time, during this phase of the moon.
Yes.
You know, with these herbs, and it's always shit you can't just go out and buy.
Right.
It's always ashwagandha,
saffron,
and all the some things I still can't pronounce.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and it had to be those things. You can't substitute. You can't.
And you had to pick it from the field.
Yeah, and it had to be blessed by a Tibetan monk on a Thursday in January. It was too much, too specific, too strict.
Yes.
And so I began to fall off of that and really kind of carve my own path, which is where I went from being a Wiccan to a witch.
Yes.
Because it's that I connected with a lot easier and a lot more. So no, my practice is not currently religious. A lot of people's it is, and that works perfectly fine for them. It's just not for me.
Well, I acknowledge different pantheons and the validity of different messages, and more so used deities and such as stand-ins. I mean, I kind of believe in different energies, but not necessarily specific deities, if that makes sense. If I'm I always talk about my relationship with Saturn, which if you're a Capricorn out there, you were ruled by the planet Saturn, okay?
You got your ass.
And Saturn is the planet of karma, and so basically you are protected by karma, and you're also kept in check by karma, because if someone wrongs you, it's gonna come back on them real bad. But also, if you wrong somebody, it's definitely going to come back on you.
Yeah, you're going to get your comeuppance.
So, and I always, but I know that the actual planet Saturn is not floating in the sky, watching everything I do. I know that the actual mythological god Saturn is not out there eating babies and shit. But it's more of a thing of that's how that's how I'm able to mentally put all of that into a box. It's like a straw man, but not, you know what I mean?
And I agree with that. The thing you said about energies is because that is kind of how deities work for me. Is I need to work with this specific energy. Mm-hmm. I need to call upon this kind of protection. And those sorts of things. So it really falls a little more under archetypes and uses as opposed to names and effigies.
Yes. Once again, it's easier to materialize it, what I mean?
Exactly.
So how has being a witch affected your life?
It's kind of been a mixed bag. I've gotten a lot of I was bullied more in school for being a witchy person than I was for being gay. I was also heavily bullied for being fat, but that's not what this episode's about.
Right.
And there have been some great moments too. Particularly with me coming out as gay and, like, understanding that I was gay, it really, it kind of doubled down on, like, the shame and the fear. Because I'm like, oh, wow, not only am I, like, the freaky, witchy kid, but I'm also gay.
Right.
You know, so it's like a double, like, a extra large target on me.
And also you feel like, oh, how predictable. You know what
right,
I mean? Like,
yeah. Of course the little gay boy is a witch. No, but it has definitely, throughout, like, particularly, like, the last, like, 5 years or so, it has really opened me up to, like, understanding myself and, like, problems that I go through. Like, is this a pattern, you know? How did I react last time this happened? You know, understanding, like, my reactions and, like, how my energy works.
Right.
And, like, the kinds of people that I can and cannot be around. The situations that, like, I do have control over and don't have control over.
Yes.
It's really opened me up to understanding those things about myself. And even a good part of, like, my sexuality has been helped by, like, or understanding my sexuality has been helped by magic and, like, by witchcraft, you know, because you do a lot of reflecting and a lot of meditating and a lot of, like, sit down, be quiet, look at, you know, your life, this situation, you know, your morning.
Yeah.
And you have to unpack a lot of things that maybe you don't necessarily want to face. Yeah. Or maybe, you know, you're really excited to deal with and, like, unpack, you know. You have to unpack a lot and you have to process it healthily. And I feel like this craft and this, like, lifestyle has really given me the ability to process things healthily. Yes. And, like, understand them on a deeper level. So yeah, that's...
Well, yeah, and also, like, magic in itself and witchcraft is kind of like a trial and error process. So, like,
yeah, it is a lot of experimentation.
And it just kind of, you definitely learn a lot of lessons through those trials. You know?
Don't ya?
But it also reinforces the kind of, like, self-help or self-betterment aspect of what magic is. So you kind of, when you come out on the other end, you're like, oh, I did that for myself. Like, I feel, you know, stronger, you know, I feel better or smarter, whatever you were looking for.
Yeah.
And sometimes even what you weren't looking for, you know?
Yeah, it is, oh man, witchcraft is all about the, like, unexpected surprises. There have been a lot of things that I've, like, come across or, like, found out that I'm like, okay, wasn't looking for that, but I have that information.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Witchcraft is the pocket sand of spirituality. Pocket sand. So witchcraft seems to be so prevalent in the queer community. To me, I think I've seen. I mean, like, I think a big thing that shone that light for me was after American Horror. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. I keep bringing up American Horror Story, but, like, I'm a homosexual, so American Horror Story Coven
yeah.
seemed to, like, everybody. As soon as that happened, it felt like, I was gonna say, I felt like I've met a million fucking
gay witches. Queer witches.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely got huge after that, particularly for the aesthetic value.
Yeah. Well, which we'll get into later in a minute, but
it is super prevalent in the queer community, and I'm honestly not surprised, just because it is so much about understanding yourself and empowering yourself as who you are.
Yeah.
Not any filter that somebody wants to put on you or any box that anybody tries to fit you in. You can be absolutely yourself, even beyond your physical human, like, being. You can expand your mind, broaden your horizons, all that shit. And it's just very freeing.
Yes.
You know, because it's like, while there are going to be some people that are eaten up by dogma and they have their traditions and their, you know, rules and their, you know, like, requirements that you have to meet.
Right.
A lot of the community, particularly now, and, like, the more new age, less religious, but, like, the more spiritual, vibes. We love that. Those people are going to be, they're super accepting, and, like, they can make you feel very safe, and they can make you feel very loved, and it's like, for a lot of queer people, you don't get that at home. And you don't get that in your everyday life. So it's like when you can come to this place
right.
where people have similar interests, and it's like it's all about just bettering yourself, you know, without there being some like, because it's like you get a lot of times it sounds like a cult, you know, but it's like, dude, we answer to nobody.
Right.
You know, when you do this for yourself. You're on your own path.
Literally.
Nobody is checking in on you. Nobody is, you know?
Right. Which, in a way, you know, I think is why... Let's get into a little sweet tea for just a second.
Okay.
Which is a reason I think that, you know, it could have been why our coven that we had failed. Because, you know, I mean, whenever it is such a personal thing, you know, it's kind of hard to... Whenever you have so many different voices coming at you, you have different feelings than other people, you have different experiences than other people.
Well, that too, and I feel a lot like there might have been some people who came at it from the expectation that it was going to be like an action-adventure movie, and it was never going to be that.
Yeah,
like, we're just going to, like, sit around candles, drink tea, and talk about shit,
yeah,
you
literally.
know? Like, and so there's a lot of expectation when it comes to stuff like that, and it's kind of hard to broaden your horizons and expand your mind when you are already presetting how it's going to be, or what it's going to look like, or what it's going to feel like, as opposed to being open to the experience, you know? Because, I mean, and it's not for everybody, like, you know? I mean, I've met people who started it and stopped because they were just like, I don't like this. You know, it's like, yeah, 100%, it's not going to work for everybody. And that is kind of too sometimes where people can get a little culty.
Yeah.
More so on the, like, the religious side of it, but you do get a lot of, like, people who, oh, I'll be your teacher, I'll be your guide, and they just want to abuse you.
Right.
You know, they want you to sleep with them, they want you to give them all your money. They want you to starve yourself and do drugs just to see how far they can push you. You know? So it's like you know, I mean, there's bad people in every community.
Well, I was gonna mention, you know, Odinists. You know, there's a huge sect of Odin worshippers who are white supremacists who believe that only, you know, the pure white race can worship Odin, the Allfather. You know, that's why. If, in case nobody out there, you know, I'm not even going to say living under a rock, because this is such a specific fucking thing.
Yeah, this is a niche thing.
This is such a niche thing, but one of my friends was trying to become an Odinist, but then he saw the white supremacy and he's like, I don't want to do this.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a thing out there that's like, Odin is the Allfather, which means all. So, like, so if you're out there and you're like, I really want to worship Odin, just be like, you know, just watch out, because there are white supremacists. There are white supremacists using like a I think it's a rune. I think that's partially like a white supremacist tattoo.
And they were using Mjolnir.
The hammer.
Hammer of Thor. Yeah. Because I have a coworker who wears that because she's like an actual Odinist, not like, you know, the white supremacist.
Right.
And I asked her because I had seen the Mjolnir thing going around, and I was like, so is it a paganism thing, or like is it a white supremacy thing? And she was like, I'm so sick of these people ruining what we have. And I was like, okay, cool. As long as I know that I can be okay working around you, we're good. And yeah, now we're pretty good friends. She's a stripper. She's pretty cool.
Oh my god, hell yeah.
We love a Odin worshipping stripper.
I was gonna say, bring that money in.
Yeah.
Don't Odin any of it. Okay, I'm sorry.
I have to go.
No, wait, come back. So do you think it's important for queer people to have an outlet like Witchcraft?
I think it's paramount.
Okay.
It is so important. And I mean, not necessarily Witchcraft. It could be art. It could be a sport. It could be, you know, fucking furries. I don't know. Like, just, you have to...
Not out in these woods. We don't judge, but...
I just think it is imperative for any person's life, but particularly for queer people, that you have some kind of outlet through which you can express yourself, your whole authentic self, and to be surrounded by people who nurture that and validate that and, you know, celebrate that, you know. And so yeah, whether it's witchcraft or whether it's fucking roller derby, like everybody needs community. Actually, like in the Straight to the Point episode, Will said like you don't survive without friends.
Yes.
You know, and like that really stuck with me because I'm like, yeah, you really don't. Every single person on this planet needs a community.
Yes.
You know, and I think that it is imperative for you to have that outlet, and witchcraft can wholly provide that outlet.
No, 100%, 100%. I mean, and you know, we'll get into a little bit of this later, but like that's kind of why I think the Red Jasper, you know, is such an important place for a place like Hattiesburg.
Yeah, no,
you know?
that's 100% why like I wanted to work here so bad, and I started working here. Was because it's like this is a beacon of hope for people like me or people, you know, who are very connected to like the energies of the world, because and it's like you don't even have to be like a witch,
right,
to just like notice that like, oh hey, like the world feels kind of sad, or the world feels super energetic today. You know, it's like you don't have to be like a witch to notice those things.
Right.
And it's like, so for the people that do feel better with crystals in their home, even though they're not doing ritual on a full moon.
Right.
I don't do ritual on a full moon.
I don't have time.
Too lazy.
I also live with Southern Baptists, so like the gay thing was hard enough. Like,
yeah. Don't have to come out of the broom closet too.
Right.
No.
Right.
But it's like, you know, this is a place that can be for any kind of person.
Yes.
Whether you are doing those full moon rituals or you just like the smell of sage and you feel better after you burn it. Literally. Although sage is a little controversial right now, so like that's kind of up to your own discretion.
Right. Just do some research.
Yeah, do your
research.
Just
like everything else, just do some research.
Feel it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's imperative.
Well, would you have any suggestions for a way that maybe some people who are in the LGBT community who are interested in witchcraft, is there like a way that they can just like if they're watching this right now and they're like, I want to do something right now that doesn't require me to go outside of my house, what can they do to like dip their toes in witchcraft?
Witchcraft? Okay, really I would start with like meditation. You can go find guided meditations. Molly Roberts from Her Speak Planet.
Molly Roberts, we love.
Absolutely.
We love.
She's very very good at like getting you into that place. Get comfy, get quiet. Even more so, you can start researching. Like that's the first step to any kind of like witchcraft is research. Yes. Read everything you can. Go on Google. Even read the bad shit. Even read Silver Ravenwolf, you know, or like the other authors that get a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like read that and suss out for yourself. Like this works for me. This does not work for me.
Right.
You know. So research absolutely before you do anything. But then like start noticing color associations.
Yes.
How do you feel about colors? You know, is there a specific shirt that every time you wear it, you have a great day? Why?
Right, exactly.
You know, you can start researching deities you're interested in, mythologies you're interested in, periods of history. You know, are there like small medical things that you could heal with holistic medicine? Just like wherever you feel drawn, research, and you will find your rabbit hole from there.
Exactly. Yeah, just go to like your spice rack, see what's in there. If you have anything that you can burn something with, literally see what you can burn.
Yeah.
And you can literally, I mean, even if you live in an apartment and you have a balcony, go out on your balcony, look up at the night sky, meditate, think about that. I mean,
look at stars.
It is literally just like a holistic thing.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
just a spiritual thing.
If it feels good, if it oh God, I sound like such a white woman. If it nourishes your spirit.
Yeah, no, yeah,
go for
definitely.
It.
Not to sound like a Whole Foods Susan, but
oh my God, that's once I start making merch, that's gonna be a t-shirt.
I want a t-shirt, this Whole Foods Susan with crystals on it.
Yes.
But no, definitely research and honestly, like little things too, like Google candle scrying, candle divination.
Yes.
You can ask the candle questions. The flame will move a certain way. It's fun.
It's fun. Exactly. Like, if nothing else, you're just gonna have fun.
Yeah, literally.
And before we go on break, I just want to mention a book that you actually gave me for my birthmas gift.
Yes!
But if, for anyone that doesn't know, my birthday is 2 days after Christmas, so, you know, sometimes I just get a combo gift, which is fine. Fine. They got me a book called Queer Magic by Thomas Prower. And it, you know, what I've read of it is really good. I'm so sorry. I just have much to read it.
The only thing I read of it is what I read in the store before I bought it.
But, like, it's really detailed. It really goes into, like, the different magical and queer traditions of different cultures from all around the world. It's really fascinating stuff. So if you're interested, go check it out. And Thomas Prower himself is just a really interesting dude. He's into La Santa Muerta. Go look him up too. But yeah, queer magic. So let's go ahead and take a break. But when we come back, we will continue talking about all things witchy. Welcome back to Halloqueen 2, which is yet to be titled.
Yeah.
I'm here with my best Theydy friend.
It's me.
Zain.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the world. So we're back, and, you know, we had talked a little bit earlier about Whole Foods Susan.
Whole Foods
and
Susan.
her crystals.
Yes.
So, like, let's talk a little bit about what I called in my notes, quote-unquote, witchy culture, or quote-unquote, insta-witches. Like, whenever Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen sell a piece of quartz for, like, $50. Yeah.
And it really, it's like, it kind of is just like any other culture or community. The minute it can be, it's marketed and profited upon.
Yes.
You know, because it's like, you can buy crystals, sage, aromatherapy diffusers, incense, like you can buy it all at Sephora, you can buy it at Target, Ross, Dress for Less, you can buy them Barnes and Nobles, like you can buy tarot cards at Barnes and Nobles, and the Book of Shadows, and witchy journals, and astrology books, and like, now it's like a huge, it's because it's become so like mainstream and popular,
right?
It's widely profitable, you know?
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to do it now. Everybody wants to be, you know, the
love and light, know,
good vibes only, you know?
Like Crystal Daddy,
Earth energy.
Which, like, the thing is, like, it's annoying, but, like, you know, we still stick to the rule, which is like, okay, if you say you're a witch, you're a witch.
Yeah.
And you are valid, but
I'm still gonna make fun of you.
Right, I'm still gonna make fun of you. And also, like, you know, I have to tell, I have a baby witch whose name will remain anonymous for now. And there was a hot minute there where she was definitely all into the love and light. And so I would, you know, I would be sure I would tell her, like, you know, like, just be careful, because, like, love and light can't beat everything.
Yeah. I mean,
there's not, love and light is
can't beat
good,
depression,
but it's not everywhere all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So,
love and light can't help you cope with anger and trauma.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's like,
that's what voodoo dolls are for now.
No, that's a closed practice.
Oh my god, that's what they're called. That's what, okay.
Yeah, it's
noted.
That's one of those, like, I don't necessarily say that it's more of a religion, but it is one of those more, like, you have to be raised in it, brought up in it, you know, that sort of thing. It is very, you can't just, like, pick it up and start doing it, because you're, like, messing with some stuff that does not want to be messed with.
And even so, now that we're kind of in that vein, you know, that kind of leads into my next question, which is kind of on the opposite spectrum, which is, like, does science have a place in witchcraft? Because, you know, I think there's a big argument and perception that science and witchcraft just kind of contradict each other, you know. And once again, that also kind of comes into the view of witchcraft as like, you know, a religion or a spiritual practice.
When you get into like religious scientists.
Right. There's no like, and admittedly, there's no like root metrics for, you know,
witchcraft
or spiritual gifts and stuff like that.
I think, okay, here's my thing. I personally, because I don't see it as like a religion, I see it as just like reality.
Right.
I very much believe that science has a place in witchcraft and like spirituality because it's measurable things.
Yes.
We can measure that plants have frequencies and, you know, that they have energy. We can measure that like atoms give off vibrations and that those atoms happen to be in the gems and the crystals and the rocks and the minerals that we use.
Right.
And so it's like there you have that like it has vibrations so it can vibrate.
Yes.
You know, something like that. And then they have the those bracelets, the vertigo bracelets.
Yes, they do.
Know,
they do.
That have like, what is it, like hematite in them?
Maybe?
That like help you. I can't remember which one it is, but it's the ionic vibration or whatever.
Right.
I don't know science words, but
copper. I mean, yeah,
exactly.
You know,
and those they obviously do something.
Right.
So the witches just had it figured out first.
Exactly. Well, I think it just kind of goes back to the trial and error I was talking about, because that's all science is too. You know.
Exactly. And so they're so close. And it's like, it's kind of dumb to me that they have to be at odds.
Yes.
Because I remember when it's looking at it from like the religious like through a religious filter, you're either a science person or a God person.
Right.
You know, like back in the day, you could not be a science person and a God person.
Right.
You know, and so I I think it's great now that we have like a little more openness about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it is like I said, these are all measurable things. At least what I experience, they're all measurable things, and so yes, it very much has a place. Science has a place in witchcraft because it's just science, but a little more fun.
Right, and also like I mean, just in a basic way, like you know, if you're pregnant, don't eat belladonna because you'll lose your baby. Like you know, or just know which plants are generally poisonous. You know, like, medicine
comes from witchcraft.
Exactly.
You know, and it took me a second to like get where you were going with that. I was like, okay.
Yes, everyone take belladonna right now.
No, but like those types of things, medicine, like therapy, physical therapy, emotional therapy, like those come from witchcraft. It's pretty much like everything that is in science came from a place of once being believed to be magic, you know?
Right.
So because it's like transmutation and alchemy, and it's like those sorts of things. Astrology became astronomy. You know, it all came from what one would broadly consider to be like witchcraft or the esoteric.
Well, and I guess the best way to say it is like, you know, every human is just trying to figure out the world around them in the best way they can.
Right.
And sometimes that it brings about mysticism. Yeah. And that mysticism then finds out, oh, like we're onto something, and we can actually have like concrete evidence that doesn't necessarily require all the woo, but, you know, the woo's so much fun, though.
It's fun. It's super fun.
So how do you address people who are staunch, you know, and say that it's all fake? Which, like, if you don't believe in it, that's fine. I'm really just doing this episode because it's an interesting topic. But, like, how do you address people who are, you know, who definitely are like, there is no possible way that this is reality. It's all fake. It's, you know, placebo. Yeah, exactly.
That's my response. It's just okay. You know, it's like me doing it doesn't hurt you any. You know, anybody else doing it doesn't hurt you any. You not doing it doesn't hurt me. You know, or anybody else. So it's just kind of like, okay, cool.
And that's how I kind of feel on the same level, like on climate change deniers, when they're like, well, solar energy ain't gonna work, and it's like, okay. Well, if this is all fake, at the very least, I, like, did cleaner energy.
Yeah.
You know, like...
It's like, if it's all fake, great. I'd love to be wrong.
Right.
I would love to be wrong about the world melting.
Right.
I would love to be wrong about that. You know? So it's like, on the one hand, me doing my part for climate change is either going to help the planet, or I'm just wrong and I'm just doing this.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So it's like...
Exactly. Yeah, and... Yeah, I mean, once again, it kind of goes into that thing of, like, you know, as long as you're not using your powers, quote unquote, for evil, your influence for evil, like, you know. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there that if I was like, I'll give you a tarot reading if you let me suck your dick, they'd be like, okay, like, definitely.
I don't see anything wrong with
right,
that.
Exactly.
You know, if you want to do that.
But then I'm taking advantage of my powers. What's the most fun or interesting witchy experience you have had, Zain Donovan?
So a lot of, well, we've only done it a couple of times, but here at the Jasper, we host something called the Psychic Fair.
Yes.
Which is where we bring in a bunch of psychics and, you know, we just kind of, like, set up booths and you can just come around and get, like, different kinds of divination done, or, like, you can come buy stuff from the shop. And that's kind of the closest thing I've had to, like, a festival for, like, witchcraft. And I know they have them all over the world, and, like, or, like, at least all over the country.
Right.
And I've never been able to go to one, and so, like, that was, like, the closest thing I've had to, like, seeing so many people, you know, because if you go to, like, other conventions, Comic-Con, you know, Ren fairs, it's like, you see just, like, how massive this community is. And so, especially, like, living here for as long as I have, I spent a long time thinking, like, I'm alone, you know, I'm the only one interested in this. Me and, like, my 6 friends are the only ones that care about this. And then we put the call out, like, hey, we're doing a psychic fair. You know, if you're witchy, spiritual, esoteric, spicy, come on. And the turnout was huge.
It was.
I mean, like, hundreds of people throughout the entire day of, like, and it's just, like, the most random, like, you see them and you're like, I never would have even thought that you knew what half of this stuff was, and here you are with, like, a grocery list, you know, and you've got, like, your charms that you got here at, like, the booths, and you got, you know, it was just very cool to see, like, oh shit, like, we're not alone. This is a huge, diverse, powerful community, you know, and it's funny too because, like, I work here.
Okay.
It got spooky, y'all.
We're gonna have to pause the video really quick. So we're back. After some technical difficulties, I guess the spirits in the Red Jasper were just like, move the fuck on. You are too enthusiastic.
Yeah, I got really excited.
So actually, I guess they wanted us to move on to, like, the next step, which is really fun. Let us talk about pop culture witches.
I would love to. I have loved witches since my early years. I listened to the other Halloqueen episode with Chris Moore talking about how in Disney movies he always liked the villains.
Yes.
And that was a huge thing growing up for me. One of my favorite movies was The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
And I loved Ursula.
Yes.
Just her musical number, Poor Unfortunate Souls, and, like, she was always so badass. And I kind of agree with what he said about, like, not wanting to be the princesses because they're boring. I'm like, no! Give me the villains! These bitches can do magic! That's cool! And, you know, Maleficent and Ursula, those, like, very powerful, like, I am a witch, and, like, I'm a badass, you know?
Yes. Not the evil queen in Snow White, though, because she, like, just turned herself into an ugly old woman and then, like, got crushed by a rock.
Yeah, then she got murdered.
Yeah, that was it, like.
So she was kind of lame. But I grew up with seeing witches all the time, particularly the, like, the witchy media that like got me the most, and this is gonna sound so trash, but it was Charmed.
I mean,
like
I'm sure there's somewhere out there a Charmed fandom. No, I'm just kidding. There are so many people that
it's a huge fandom. The Charmed series, like, I remember watching it with my grandmother, and like, we were like there every week, ready to go. She bought me all the box sets. I've unfortunately lost them now, but like, we used to have all the box sets, and like, we would just rewatch them. We would just rewatch the whole series together. And it was just always so much fun to me. Like, I loved that. You know, particularly with, like, you know, I know you haven't, like, seen a lot of it, but there's 3 of them. They're 3 sisters.
Yeah.
It's, like, their sibling relationship is awesome, regardless of the drama that happened, like, with the actual real-life actresses.
I did not know that was the thing. We will talk.
There's a huge drama.
Yes.
But, like, just their on-stage chemistry and, like, even the cheesy like 90s editing was just so good, and I loved the magic and like the powers and all the demons. Like, that was like what I grew up wishing magic would be like, and what I think a lot of people still think magic is like.
Yeah.
You know? But it was so fun for me. And then later in like my early adulthood, I started becoming friends with people like you and my good friend Lauren, who are very much movie watchers. And so I got to watch movies like The Witches of Eastwick, and you know, and a lot of like just good witchy shit.
Right.
Practical Magic.
Like
a good ass movie.
We literally, like, for Halloween one year watched Practical Magic, The Craft, and The Witches of Eastwick.
The fucking Craft!
The Craft. Which,
such
like,
a good movie.
It's just, like, it's honestly, at the end of the day, just, like, 90s teen fodder, but it's such good 90s teen fodder.
Good, good 90s, that good 90s angst film.
Yes.
And it's, like, it's funny, too, going back to the Insta Witches, you know, and that, like, making it popular culture, after, like, American Horror Story Coven came out, that kind of became such a big thing because, like, none of the girls in that were, like, the grunge, nose ring, black lip, Nancy from The Craft.
Yes.
You know, and those were the kinds of girls that were associated with being witches.
Yes.
And in that show, you had, like, the beautiful Misty Day.
Right.
And, you know, and Emma Roberts.
Which I prefer Nancy from The Craft, if we're being honest. I'm sorry. She just has such a unique look. Like... Well, unique now. At the time, it was, you know, yeah.
Well, I gotta say I prefer Misty Day just because I think that actress is beautiful.
I was also gonna say Coven also brought about Stevie Nicks for the gay community.
Stevie Nicks? Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. Stevie Nicks is the White Witch, apparently. I haven't done much research into that. But
that's, like, one of those things that it's like pop culture witches, you know?
Yeah,
it's like, because she's one of those people that I don't think she has ever said, oh, I'm a witch, this is my craft, here's what I do. But you can walk up to any like, you know, girl with a septum ring and micro bangs and be like, is Stevie Nicks a witch? And she's like, oh, absolutely.
Right, absolutely. I mean, in a way, isn't Dolly Parton also a witch?
Honestly.
Like, not out of the closet, but, like, I feel like Dolly Parton probably, you know. You don't grow up in a coal mining town.
I would love that.
Same. Hermione Granger, of course. Like,
yes.
Let's also, like, once again establish, which I've established it already on other episodes, fuck J.K. Rowling.
Yes.
We all know that she was just scrounging around the dumpster of a coffee shop and she found the manuscripts to all 7 Harry Potter books and just wrote them off as her own. That's what we're going to say.
I always say Hermione Granger wrote.
Yes,
Harry Potter.
exactly.
She broke
it was
the
an
fourth
autobiography.
Wall. Yeah.
Yes.
No, Hermione Granger, so amazing. And even though the Cursed Child was shit, Hermione Granger in that.
Yes.
Fantastic choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic choice. But no, Hermione Granger, super, like, she was super headstrong and powerful.
Yes.
And, like, god damn it if I don't love a strong female lead,
right.
you know, or just a strong female character.
Exactly.
Who else? We have
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the new one. I've seen like the first episode of the new one, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I like a lot of the like places that it's gone. I haven't seen it, but I've seen like clips and stuff. It looks very fun. It's very much that dark, edgy that American Horror Story brought us. Because it's like the Riverdale that is based off of the Archie comics, and then the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which
are actually really fucking chilling comics. I've seen like a couple of panels from them, and I'm like,
and that's in the Archie universe,
right?
And so it's like they had to go that dark, that dark route to match Riverdale, and it's that very edgy thing that American Horror Story brought to all of us, the gays, but no, it's very good.
Here's one that I don't know if you ever saw.
Okay.
Casper and Wendy, with Hilary Duff as Wendy the Witch.
No, I saw the one with Christina Ricci.
Okay, so that is the original Casper. Casper and Wendy, I think, was a straight to VHS sequel about Wendy, who was played by Hilary Duff, and she had 3 aunts, and I do not remember who played her aunts. I don't remember who played the male villain. I just remember him getting sucked into a vortex and her 3 witchy aunts being like, yeah, that's what... Oh, I think Debbie Harry. Audience, please go look this
Debbie
up.
Harry, if you're watching.
I think
Were you in Casper and Wendy?
I think Debbie Harry was one. I know for a fact that Shelley Duvall was one of her witchy aunts. And we love Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
God rest her soul. I think Shelley Duvall is no longer
Shelley Duvall, if you're dead.
Come to this
Comment
side.
Below. No, Debbie Reynolds, Halloween Town.
Yes, absolutely.
Grandma Aggie.
Yes, rest
Love
in
her.
peace. Yeah, Halloween Town. God, so like really and truly like so many.
A lot of good witchy shit.
Yeah. So I guess more so in the Harry Potter vein again. So here we go. I already know the answer to one of these questions. So what is your Hogwarts house?
Okay.
What would your favorite class at Hogwarts be?
Okay.
And what craft of the wizarding world would you be a master at?
Okay. My Hogwarts house is Slytherin, obviously.
Except for the time you got Hufflepuff.
And the time I got Ravenclaw, and the time I got...
Yeah.
I've gotten all of them, but Slytherin, because I already bought all the merch.
Right.
Slytherin, and my favorite class, I think, would either be Defense Against the Dark Arts or Care for Magical Creatures. Mm-hmm. Particularly if Hagrid is still teaching it.
His irresponsible ass.
We love an irresponsible teacher. And then the craft of the world, aspect of the world?
Yeah,
would
you be an herbologist? Would you be the potions man? Would you be an auror?
I honestly don't know. I feel like my basic ass would probably go study dragons.
There ain't nothing basic about that. Not everyone does that in the wizarding world.
Yeah,
so
I would probably do that, or something along the Newt Scamander line of a magical zoologist.
Yes.
I think that would be really fun. Just because even though the Fantastic Beasts movies weren't that great, I still like the concept, the idea of him going out and learning about all these creatures. I thought that was so cool.
Well, and the world that they tried to build.
Yeah.
That was kind of halfway there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
kind of got left behind.
Half-baked, yeah.
Ooh, half-baked.
Are you thinking about cookies and...
Yeah,
okay.
Ben and Jerry's?
Yes. So, I am a Ravenclaw. Always a Ravenclaw.
Of course.
I think that my favorite classes would either be Transfiguration, because the minute that I saw them transform a rat into a cup, I was so useful. I don't know why I thought it was useful, but I was so fucking useful. Charms, probably, because the Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah. Short teacher.
Yeah, exactly. Also the headmaster of Ravenclaw, so or not the headmaster, the
head of house.
Head of house. There you go. And then the sponsor teacher.
Yeah.
And then I think that my career path, I would probably work in potions, honestly.
Yeah.
And I only say that because, IRL, I love cooking. I love experimenting with cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, potions are really just like a catch-all. Like, you can use potions for pretty much anything in the wizarding world.
Yeah.
And like, if you're like an expert craftsman at potions, I feel like you could make a lot of money because you could make love potions, healing potions, Wig and Wild potion. What is the one that transforms you?
Polyjuice.
Polyjuice. There we go. Very inventive. So yeah, definitely would probably be a potions master.
Yeah, I could see that.
But like, herbology would be super fun too, though, because like, I mean, other than like the screaming mandrakes,
the screaming radishes,
right? Like, that would be really fun. Yeah, I remember playing the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets video game on my PlayStation 2, and like, it was open world, so like, you could go to like the greenhouses and everything and explore, and I just thought that was so cool.
I think I might also, I'm the least athletic person ever. I think I would enjoy playing Quidditch.
But Quidditch looks, for the most part, like, if you're the seeker, that requires minimal athletic.
Yeah, I feel like I could do that.
Minimal.
I feel like I could do that.
You just have to wear glasses. That's why Harry had the advantage, y'all. He was wearing glasses. That's all it was.
I think glasses and like a face mask.
Exactly.
So I don't swallow it.
But wouldn't you prefer it? No.
No.
If you could have any fictional witch's book of shadows, whose would you choose and why?
I think I can't really think of, like, a Book of Shadows other than the charmed, like, the Book of Shadows. I can't really think of one that I've seen or that I've known about. So probably the Book of Shadows, because, like, most of the show was centered around that book.
Yeah.
And, like, trying to get it away from the sisters, get it out of the house. And it almost, like, became a character of its own, because it had, like, you know, it would, like, jump away from demons or, like, warlocks and stuff, and that, I loved that book. But to have, like, the entire compendium of, like, 400 years worth of just women being kick-ass, I would love that.
Excellent. I think that my answer to that would be, I can't choose. It's hard, because it's hard to think of, like, one specific witch, like... that I would just be like, so like, my answer to that is like, I would rather just have access to the Hogwarts library.
Yeah. Oh, a set of pop culture witches we forgot, the Sanderson sisters.
The Sanderson sisters, which, you know, honestly, Zane, one of the questions that I was going to ask you, but I didn't know if it really, like, it was less of a question and more of just something I wanted to say for both of us to laugh, which is, why do you think white girls are so obsessed with Hocus Pocus?
I really don't know. It's kind of like the Mean Girls thing.
Yes.
Like,
yes. Which, I mean, it's a fun, good movie. Like, no, yeah. Don't get me wrong.
Hocus Pocus, right?
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah. No, it's a very good movie. But I think it's just like, liking Hocus Pocus and liking Mean Girls is one of those things that's kind of like hating Nickelback. You don't know why.
Right.
You just do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Because I can't give you any reason why I don't like Nickelback. But I don't.
So...
That got you?
It got me.
Is that good?
I just wasn't ready for that. Let's get into reality for just a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Witch of Yazoo. So, I know I've told you this, but you didn't know about it until I told you about it, right? Or had you heard of the Witch of Yazoo before?
I had heard about it because I started looking up, thanks to Molly Roberts, she did like a prompt for research, and it was like, research your local legends. Like local folklore, local cryptids, monsters.
Right.
And I found out about the Witch of Yazoo City, and it was so fascinating. I haven't read the story in a while. I was gonna say, so Yazoo City isn't really close to Hattiesburg. It's probably like a 3-hour drive, because it's about an hour out of Jackson. But the Witch of Yazoo, so back in like the 1800s, like the late 1800s, I'm pretty sure it was post-Civil War, there was, Yazoo City is right along a river, I'm pretty sure, and these people were
going down the river, and there was this woman who was the Witch of Yazoo, and she would lure horny men into her home.
As you do.
And lure them in, and then sleep with them, and then kill them, and then use their bodies for, like, dark magic and negative magic. That's a whole nother, I was gonna say that's a whole nother, there's so much we could talk about with that. But anyway, negative magic. And one time, someone caught her doing it, and imagine having to be that guy, though, and, like, witness her, like, tearing somebody apart. Anyway, they were immediately like, police, I'm a single white female.
Whoa.
And so the police apprehended the Witch of Yazoo and put her to death. I mean, which, like, I don't know if that was A, because she was a mass murderer, or B, because she was a witch, because, like, technically, like, in some places there are still, like, anti-witchcraft laws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But either way, they put her to death, but right before they did, she was like, I put a curse on Yazoo City. I tell you now, like, I can't remember how many years, but it's like, in this many years, I'm going to return and burn this bitch to the ground. And then they killed her. Well, literally,
the amount of time
she said passed, and
her grave was dug up.
Her grave was not dug up. The stone that they put over her grave was smashed, and the whole town set ablaze and burned to the ground. And you can still go visit the grave in the cemetery where she was buried, and it's still there, and it's still cracked.
And because wasn't there another one about, like, they put a stone like slab over it?
I don't,
because that's why I thought it had been dug up.
That's what I'm well.
There's a continuation of it where after it burned down, they put a stone slab over her grave.
Oh.
And like a year to the date, lightning struck it and split it.
That probably happened too. I mean, you can literally go look it up, guys.
Go look it up. Like, it's a fascinating story.
It's a fascinating story in a very unfascinating place in the world.
Yeah.
So, like,
really?
the witch of Yazoo, y'all. That's some. I mean, it's some spooky shit. Yeah.
She might still be out there.
I was gonna say she may still be out there somewhere. It might even be me.
Cut to me 2 weeks later, like, ripped up.
Right. Like, oh, if only.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Let's just move on. Don't even think about it. So, which gift do you wish that you had?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Because there's so many. I wish I could stop time. That's a power from Charmed.
Yeah.
I wish I could stop time.
Which, like, real, like, well, I say real, because,
real.
like, there are people out there that are like, all of this is fake, but, like, which, like, more, like, clairaudient, like, you know, like...
Okay, clairaudient would be pretty ironic, considering I'm deaf.
Yeah.
I would really like to be able to, like, what is it, like, where you just, like, feel it, where you just, like, you know. Yes. Clairsentience? Is that what it is?
Maybe.
Like, oh, there's a spirit here.
Right.
It's this person, blah, 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 or it's this entity.
Right.
I would like that. That would be pretty cool, just so that when I get the heebie-jeebies when I'm home alone, I can be like, what are you?
What are you? Get
Nothing? Out! Okay. You know, like, I'm just crazy. Clairaudience would be pretty cool. Clairvoyance. I wish I could just, like, see stuff as it's gonna happen, and then it happens. That would be super, super cool. But those are all, I don't know, I feel like the, like, real powers are just kind of, like, boring. Because, like, I know people that do it.
Yeah.
So, and they see it as boring. So that's why I'm like, I want to stop time. I want to fly.
Right,
I want to be able to teleport. Give me, like, a fireball. I would love that.
Right.
Wicked Witch of the West style.
I wish that I could master the art of astral or, like, out-of-body travel
astral
or whatever.
Projection?
Yeah, like,
yeah.
And by master it, yeah, like, it's because it's something that terrifies me because, like, you know, like, you don't want to leave your body, your vessel open or whatever.
Yeah, but what movie was it? Was it Insidious?
It was Insidious.
Astral project?
Yes,
yeah.
it was Insidious.
Lipstick face demon?
Yes. I don't know why they called it Lipstick Face and not just Darth Maul's gay brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to be able to do that just to, like, see what else is out there, you know? I'm a big believer in, like, multiple dimensions and stuff like that.
Multiple realities.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a mirror reality happening right now where you're interviewing me.
Right.
You know? So, yeah.
It's my podcast. The light is purple. I also think it would be really cool to be one of those people who can, like, dream control.
Yes.
Or, like, move things in their dreams.
Yes.
I've never been able to do that. Like, I lucid dream. Like, I'm aware that I'm dreaming. Especially because, like, I have, like, recurring dreams. And I'm like, oh, this is that dream.
Right.
You know, you're going to do this, this, and this. And then this is going to happen. But I can never, like, say, like, I'm being chased down a long hallway. I know I'm going to try the third door,
right?
The, you know, sixth door, and then the door at the end of the hall. But I can never be like, look
stupid. Don't try this door.
Don't try this door. Go to the stairwell.
You're just like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, stuff like that.
I think that I would like to be clairsentient would probably be mine because I don't want to see anything. We've been over this many times. I'm a big scaredy cat, and the minute that I see anything that's not really there, I'm just like, you know, like,
crybaby. I am such a wuss. I am so afraid of everything, and so yeah, I don't want to see it. I don't really want to hear it.
Yeah, same. It's
like I've had the experiences of, like, hearing, like, whispers in hallways.
Yes.
And, like, that kind of, like, the, what are they called? The, like, the ghost messages or whatever.
Oh, the white noise?
Yeah, it's like where, like, you're recording something, like, let's say we were recording us talking, and then when we listen back to it, we can hear, like, talking underneath us.
Which, like
those kinds of things.
Just so everybody knows in the audience, I do listen for those while I'm editing my episodes. I'm like,
here you might get some. Like, we have all sorts of stuff that'll, like, pull stuff off the shelves, pull our clothes, like,
okay,
we
well,
have them.
Here's a test, okay, which I'm tempting fate here, okay. If there is a spirit here with us, we're going to give you just a little bit of airtime. If you have anything to say, would you please speak either into the microphone or into the camera microphone, whichever you prefer. We don't care. We're just going to give you some time. So here we go.
How gagged would you be if one of the lights just fell?
I was going to say, like... I think that was plenty of time, you know. So, yeah. Well, how freaked out would you be if we had just, like, I don't need a microphone.
Yeah, like all the lights go out and it's like Stream Chromatica on Spotify.
Oh my God.
Like, no!
Featuring hit single Rain on Me. Rain on Me, tsunami. Okay, so let's see. What's the biggest thing that you can say to somebody who doesn't understand or is afraid of witchcraft?
If you're afraid, know that you're in control. You are responsible for what happens, what you do and do not allow into, like, your energy sphere, aura, whatever. It's literally, it's like I said earlier, it's just Michael's on steroids, you know. It's, you meditate, you know, you doodle in your book of shadows, you talk to some rocks. Like, it's not what they make it out to be on TV. It's not anything, you know, like, cinematic.
Right.
You know, so it's like, if you're afraid, research.
Yes.
You know, knowing is half the battle. And so you will, if you research, you will be prepared for whatever is going to come at you. You know, whether it be negative people, just negative energy, some childhood memories that maybe you repressed for good reason, you know?
Right.
Like, it can come from anywhere, but you're responsible
and you are directly in control of like what does and doesn't affect you.
Okay. So before we go, let's talk about the Red Jasper.
So yes, my place of work. We're the Red Jasper. It is owned by Reverend Brandolyn Magnum Deere and her wife, Susan. They're amazing. They're such wonderful people. They've been in Hattiesburg for a very long time, but the Jasper itself is about 4 or 5 years old.
It is, because it was here right before we moved.
Yeah, and then...
it was in a different location.
Yeah, they were in a much smaller location. They have a much bigger location now, and like an entire community galvanized behind them. And it's just a really great place. Like you walk in, and a lot of like you go to crystal shops, and it feels like a business. It's very like transactions and money, and how can I upsell you?
And expensive too.
And it's super expensive. But we work really hard to make it feel like you're safe here. And you are understood, and anything that you need, we can either provide or help you find.
Yes.
You know, and it's been a lot of places, it's been a lot of people's place to come and cry, come and break down, come and put themselves back together.
Yes.
You know, if you're ever in the Hattiesburg area, if you live here, if you visit, I highly recommend coming by. We do readings, we can... You know, if you have a problem, we can talk to you about it and show you maybe a holistic way to fix it. And it's just a really cool place to be. It's by a really cool coffee shop. And it's super fun. Love working here.
It is, and the energy is always so good, you know.
Yeah.
I think that there's just a selection here for everybody, you know.
Yeah, definitely. It's super, super cool.
I think it suits a lot of different needs. I think also it's just, you know, going back to how queerness and witchcraft kind of coexist in a way. Like, I know that a lot of the times when I'm here, there's at least 2 queer people here at all. I mean, not even just BB, you know.
I was going to say you and BB.
I was going to say, exactly.
At least 2 queer people.
Exactly. But it's such an open, loving place. I mean, you said BB's a reverend, right? Like, or is that like the official title, like reverend?
Yeah, reverend.
Okay, because I'm like, she's a preacher, but that's because
Yeah.
But
Southern.
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like all people from all sorts of backgrounds are more than welcome here and
100%.
validated here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's the epitome of holistic. It really is.
Yeah.
So it meets you where you're at.
We try to.
Exactly. So Halloween is coming up.
Yes.
And that is a very, very big day for witches, spirits, gays, everything.
The Witches' New Year. And also Pride Part 2, the Electric Spookaloo.
And
do you like that? Second time I've sent you
the
today.
second time you have sent me, and the second time you sent me with that specific joke. Yes. Trademark Zain Donovan TM.
Oh no, it's Twitter. That's Twitter.
Oh, well, now I have to kill you.
Yes. But yeah, Halloween is huge. Depending on like your tradition, your path, your craft, whatever. Some people call it Samhain or Samhain or Samhain. It just depends on how severe your lisp is. I usually just call it Halloween.
Yeah,
because
same.
That's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
And but essentially, it's the Witches' New Year. It's when the realms of life and death are super close. That veil is super thin, and the spirits can cross over, and that's where we got the tradition of like costumes. You know, you'd put on masks to blend in with all the spookums and the specters, and then the treats are kind of like twisted around offerings. You give offerings to your, dead loved ones and all that, to kind of be like, hope you're doing okay over there.
And now it's just an excuse for diabetes.
Now it's an excuse for diabetes. The best excuse for diabetes.
Yeah.
I dressed up for you. Give me candy. But yeah, it's when a lot of people do like the huge like releasings of like shit in their life.
Yes.
It's kind of like their new year. And it's when people, you know, make almost kind of like their New Year's resolutions. Of,
Right.
Like, what are you trying to, now that, like, we've gone through the, like, seasons and we're getting to winter, what are you leaving to let die off, and what are you trying to grow now? And it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal for we witches.
Right, and you know, also, you know, it's gay Christmas.
It's great.
Every Halloween a new drag queen is born.
Yeah. At least one.
At least one. If y'all want, I will show y'all some Halloween drag I've done before, so y'all get ready.
Yes.
So yeah, okay. I'm pretending like I didn't already know all
Yeah.
of this. Right. But audience, if you didn't know, there you go. That's why, you know, there's such controversy with, like, I remember last Halloween, you know, I was working at my job, and this woman walked in. And our first thing to say, of course, was, you know, Happy Halloween, you know, like, welcome to my place of work. Happy Halloween. And she said,
please don't be racist.
And she said, I don't celebrate Halloween. I'm a Christian. And I'm like,
oh, I've heard that.
And I'm just like, well, I know the minute I say Happy Holidays, you're also going to tell me to say Merry Christmas. So, like, if you just want me to be specific.
Right.
I mean, also, like, Halloween kind of was affected by the Catholic Church, I'm pretty sure, because, like, technically, All Hallows Eve, which is the day before All Saints Day. Yeah, so, like, y'all, come on.
It's
like,
a Christian holiday.
I was gonna say, there's like there are fingers and hands and everything in it. So just
oh
yes.
What an analogy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. I don't celebrate Halloween because I'm a Christian. It's like you can't give candy to little kids because they want to have fun.
Exactly. Just do what everyone else does and put razor blades in there.
Yeah.
Or just give them fruit. Just be upfront about it and just give them fruit instead. Give them an apple.
Oh, I was gonna say give them LSD, but we went down
you don't need LSD on Halloween because everyone's already kooky and fun.
Yeah, kooky, spooky, and trippy.
And trippy as fuck. What are you going to be for Halloween this year?
I don't know. I was thinking, I'm probably not going to do Marshall Lee this year. I was thinking about doing Marshall Lee, but I'll probably wait till I live with my boyfriend. It's an Adventure Time character. I forgot. You don't know. Marshall Lee is a gender-bent version
of Marceline.
Marceline,
okay.
Yeah. Played by Donald Glover.
Hey, hot stuff.
We love you.
Yes.
But I think I'm gonna wait to do that till I live with my boyfriend, and we'll do Marshall Lee and Prince Bubblegum.
Yes.
It's gonna be cute.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'll probably find a way to dress up as a Pokemon.
Hey, there we go.
Knowing me.
If I end up having to work on Halloween, I'll just dress up as a low-wage employee.
Yeah. I'm a depressed person.
Maybe I can just flip Halloween on its head and take off my customer service face and
just
voice
be a complete asshole
and just be like Jacob at the table, which just be everything that I keep away at the table.
I'll be my regular overly caffeinated homosexual self and put little dog ears on and say I'm Paris Hilton's Chihuahua.
Hey, I was gonna say, you know, when also, just to follow up on the last episode, you know, Zain mentioned how they had been called slurs and you know, they misraced Zain.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the thing. Zain is white passing, but Zain is not actually like
I am
white.
I'm Middle Eastern Greek white and I don't. It's very generic white, like French, German, English. And Native American. And the thing that cracks me up so much is that when people try to insult me, they'll use slurs for Latino people or like Latin people.
Yeah.
And that cracks me up so much because they will use these slurs and I'm like, that's not even right. First off, that's racist, and second off, it's wrong.
Exactly.
It's inaccurate.
So
if you're gonna be racist towards me, like get it right and be creative.
Exactly. You know, I don't. Let me show you my ancestry DNA test really quick, so you can see. I will pull out my 23andMe.
It's
like it's the South. You know, they can't pin. They're like, he's slightly brown. Where can I pinpoint?
What can I, Mexican.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
every
that's all I
time.
know. Yeah.
Every time. And the bad thing is it happens with Hispanic people too.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
When we worked at Izzo's, we had the older couple that always tried to speak Spanish to me specifically.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't.
Yeah.
Don't, somebody help.
Yeah. So yeah. I guess PSA, like, you know, cultures are not costumes this Halloween. So
oh my God, yes.
Y'all just remember that.
Please.
That.
I know the Aladdin movie came out, but I swear to God, Rebecca, if you dress up as Jasmine, we're gonna fight.
Also, like, there are more fun things you can dress up as that don't require you to... Anyway.
Be a giant dick.
Exactly. Be sexy anything. Be a sexy microphone. I don't know.
Be a sexy hot pocket.
Yeah,
anything, literally anything else.
Honestly, though, like, there should be a porn Twitter called Sexy Hot Pocket, and it should be nothing but prolapses.
Oh.
Oh, God.
I was about to say something about Hot Pockets already being sexy, but now I can't.
Oh, you can't. And I don't know if this is gonna go on YouTube or my podcast.
No, that's instant demonetization. You will never make money on these
Really?
videos. Yes. Oh my God, talking about prolapses?
Well, yeah.
That's twice we've said it now.
Oh God. We could be talking about prolapse anything. I didn't say.
Yeah, you did
But
just say
you
prolapses.
But you know.
And I haven't. I didn't
And
specify.
audience, if you don't know, I
Google
hope
it.
you
No.
don't fall out. I hope you don't find out.
Yeah, no. Don't use cultures as costumes.
Yeah.
It's not cute, it's not funny, it's not creative. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah. So let's just end the episode.
Let's do it.
How? Not how. If you could go back in time and impart any words of wisdom on your younger self, what would it be?
Stop stressing so much about how you're perceived, because I would honestly just tell them the story about, or like the analogy about how you're always going to be the villain in somebody's story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you will very rarely be the hero, you know?
Yeah.
So if you're not the villain, you're just going to be a side character. So stop stressing so much about how you're perceived and how people might talk about you or might think about you, because it literally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Olivia from the Witch of Wanderlust collective says, if you're gonna be the villain in somebody's story, you might as well be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I would say maybe be a little more of that. Be a little more ballsy and stand your ground.
Right.
You
Don't be a villain and a side character like Captain Phasma from the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
I forgot about her.
Rest
Gwendolyn
in peace,
Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie. And I'm not talking about the person. I'm just talking about her opportunity to be in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, Zane.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love doing these.
I love doing these with you, and honestly, like, yeah, let's plan for another Sweet Tea episode very soon. Maybe sooner than you were even expecting, audience. Y'all see? I told y'all it was haunted. The spirits literally did everything but talk into my audio equipment. And that's just because, you know, they made it stop working. So thanks for tuning in to yet another episode of Out in the Woods. If you loved it, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. hit that bell notification button on YouTube, rate, review, do the whole damn shebang, okay? And if you have anything you'd like to say to me in private, you can email me at ontwpodcast at gmail.com. Slide in my DMs on Instagram or Twitter at ontw_podcast, or you can send me a message on Facebook at Out in the Woods on Facebook. Thank you as always. Black Lives Matter. Please, please, please vote. And thanks for coming out in the woods and into my broom closet.